You ever set a massive sales goal and then have no idea how the hell you're actually going to hit it? Yeah, same. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I built a tool that basically reverse engineers the whole sales process. So you don't have to worry about anything. From revenue goal to daily action. Get it down in the description. The link is below. This is not some boring spreadsheet. This thing updates live, calculates everything for you, and shows you exactly what to do and what to focus on each day. Want to hit your KPIs without burning out? Let me show you how in this video.
All right, so here it is. Here's a tool I wish I had when I was trying to get 10, 20K months, even 30K months. Kind of was flying blind. Whether you're an agency owner, whether you're trying to track your performance, you're a closer, or just trying to get better, this breaks down everything you need to know. Show rate, offer rate, close rate, revenue per call, and yeah, it does the math for you. You can plug this into your revenue goals, your close rates, and boom, it tells you your targets and where you need to be daily. And the best part, it tells you everything that you need to know, and you can copy the data and download it to track week over week results. So let's jump right in. I'll walk you through it, exactly how it works, step by step. The show rate, offer to close rate, and then revenue per call like we talked about. You're gonna be able to go ahead and use this. I'll have a link below down in the description. You can use this as often as you want. And the cool thing is you can actually download your data or copy it to a clipboard, so you can use this weekly and really get a hold of what's going on with your totals. Of course, you can recreate this in Bolt or Cursor. Feel free to steal it. It's yours. I saved you all the work. And so here it is here. We're gonna go over this. So we're actually gonna do an example of just how this works. We have the elite benchmarks, your daily targets, your goal calculator, and exporting your data. So where we wanna start is right here, the goal calculator. This is where everything starts. So how much revenue do you wanna make per month? And that's really where we're gonna start. We didn't get into all the specifics because this would be like a 6-hour video, which nobody's gonna watch. So the goal calculator, let's just say we wanna make $80,000 per month, and our average revenue we know is $2,000. And so we did last month's revenue divided by that month's calls, or your product revenue divided by your close rate. So we're gonna hit calculate, and look at this, see all these numbers change. So our daily targets, our calendar bookings per day go to 20, calls per day 16, offers per day 8, closes per day we're gonna need to reach 80,000 at that $2,000 revenue per call is 2. So again, these are all rounded up. So it might be a little more, but just for simplicity's sake. And again, this change here, the revenue per call, I saw 2,000 plus, so isn't that great? So now we're gonna get into the math of how this actually works. And so you'll get a better understanding of how these numbers actually correlate with each other. So again, we're reverse engineering everything. So how does this work? So we put in 80,000, I showed you that. I hit calculate. So here's the math behind it. Monthly revenue total, 80,000. You saw that. 2,000 is in here, right? Monthly revenue goal, 80,000. Average revenue per call, 2,000, great. Now going back to this. So here's how the math works. Step 1, daily revenue needed, 4,000 per day. So how do we do that? We did 80,000 divided by 20 working days per month, obviously. So 5-day work week multiplied by 4, 20. So now we know daily revenue need is 4,000. Okay, great. So that's, so next step, daily closes needed. So 4,000 is our daily target, divided by 2,000 per deal. We're gonna need 2 closes per day. So this is how we work backwards using the elite conversion rates. So our daily offers needed, 25% close rate. We're just kind of putting that out there as a good close rate. We're gonna need 2 closings divided by 20, or divided by 0.25 is 8. So, which is great. So 8 offers per day. So when you divide by 0.25, it's like multiplying by 4. So for all the math nerds, daily calls needed, 50% offer rate. So these are the benchmarks we chose that are industries that are good. So 8 offers divided by 0.5, So you're basically multiplying by 2. So 16 calls per day we're gonna need to make 8 qualified offers. Next, daily bookings needed, 80% show rate. 16 calls divided by 0.8 equals 20 bookings. So now we need 20 bookings, we know, to get 16 people to show up. So 20 bookings per day. That's not a typo. So again, from these numbers, if you want to hit this, you just saw the math, it all works. We're going to need 20 calendar bookings per day if we want to reach 80,000, turning into 16 calls per day, 8 offers made at a close rate, at our close rate of 25%, 2. So there you go. So the thing is, a lot of people get confused about this, and obviously it really helps to hone your sales skills because perhaps you can close way more people. So what we found is, the other side of that is, if your sales skills aren't immaculate, to hit $80,000 per month with $2,000 deals, you need to be booking 20 qualified prospects every single day. That's a lot. That's 100 bookings per week, 400 plus per month. Most people quit right here when they see these numbers. Elite performers use this as motivation or roadmap. All right, so the elite benchmark section. So we went over this, we'll just briefly go over this again. So it'll auto calculate, no guessing games, show rate 80%. We talked about this. So we want to have qualified prospects, realistic, and anything below 80% indicates systematic. So that's right here in this the show rate right here. Offer rate is next. This is sweet spot, 50%. Kind of too picky. You could be too desperate, selective enough to only present to qualified prospects, but confident enough to present to when the conditions are right. So that's right here at the offer rate right here. Offer to close rate, this is one of the magic numbers. So offer to close rate 25% plus. If you're properly qualifying, 1 in 4 prospects should close at a minimum. Higher close rate, 35% are obviously way better. And this is going to mean excellent qualification and closing skills. So that is right here. Lastly, revenue per call. So we talked about this. This varies by industry, but for coaching/consultants and agencies, 2,000 plus indicates you're having a high value conversions. Lower numbers suggest perhaps either you have a low ticket or you're talking with the wrong people. So this is going to connect back with the example with Sarah and Mike. Same principles now with exact targets. So this is the elite benchmarking section. We've went over the goal calculator. We've went over your daily targets and the numbers behind in the calculations. We went over elite benchmarking. We'll eventually show you how to export your data. You just literally click these buttons. We've talked about the show rate, offer to close rate, revenue per call. So now just kind of messing around with this, you can kind of see, let's just see how many calls booked we have on Monday. Let's just say we have 51 people that showed up. Offers made, we can kind of mess around. Let's just say we made 25 offers. So right beneath the 50% offer rate, let's just say we do 26. You'll see the numbers just changed. So from red, yellow to green, that's supposed to be yellow, it's more like orange, but whatever, you get the point. So there it is, 26%, bam. Sales close out of that. Let's just say let's say we did 5 close. So revenue, let's just say we have $6,000 of revenue per closed deal. So let's just say it's $30,000 in terms of revenue. So $30,000 we collected divided by the number of calls equals $588 per call. So here we go. So this is great. So this is, we now have our weekly totals here, and you can kind of see that it's helping you figure out what are the metrics we need to work on. Total calls we took 15, and offers made, let's just say 12, and let's just say sales close, we crushed it. And okay, so 7 times 6,000 is 42,000. So there we go. We crushed today. So excellent. So again, you can kind of see these working out. And so what you can do now is you can see your show rate, kind of generally speaking, at 83%. which is great. Your offer rate at 58%, okay, very good. Offer to close rate 32%, very good. And then revenue per call is over 1,000, which is very good. So this is great. So now we go down here and download. Okay, so great news. It does work. As you can see, August 18th, 19th, 20th, 21, August 21st, 22nd. Weekly totals down here. You can see all the numbers here, the bookings, the calls, the show rate, the offers, the offer rate, sales, close rate, total revenue, revenue per call, and all the totals were the averages were down here, which is great. Then you can obviously use this as you wish. So this is super helpful. Hopefully you really like it. We do, and it saves us lots of time and aggravation, and helps us really focus in on what's important. So why 99% of sales teams are tracking the wrong metric? So here's a brutal truth. Tracking overall close rates, it really tells you kind of what happened, but gives you zero insight on where to improve. So let's dive into an example below. Same results, opposite problems, the Sarah versus Mike case study. So Sarah's week, 10 calls happened, made 8 offers, so that's an 80% offer rate, closed 2 sales, which is good, 25% offer to close rate. Overall close rate is 20%. So Mike's week, 10 calls happened, made 4 offers, 40% offer rate, closed 2 sales, so 50% offer to close rate, which we're going to get into and why that's important. Overall close rate 20%. Both match close rates. So if you look at only the close rates, both Sarah and Mike, identical performers. You'd think that they need the same coaching, but that's where the ratio, ratios kind of change. So especially when you're looking at the offer to close rate. So Sarah's problem, she's actually a weak closer. So if you look in the numbers, she presents to almost everyone, maybe not qualifying properly enough. So if you go to her numbers, she actually has an 80% offer rate, which is high. But when she presents, she only closes 1 in 4. So the coaching needed is going to be closing skills, objection handling, probably creating urgency. Now Mike's problem, he's too conservative. So if you see, he presented only to 40% of clients or of calls, being too picky about with whom to pitch. And when he does present, he closes 1 and 2. He's on paper, I know it's a small sample size, but it's just an example. He's a strong closer. And so coaching needed, confidence to present more, and better qualification. So same results, completely different problems, totally different solutions. And this is why most salespeople and teams plateau, because they're solving the wrong problems. And the cool thing is, you'd be able to see this in the offer to close ratio. So if you look at each of them, 25% offer to close rate is from Sarah versus Mike's 50% offer to close rate. So it's actually quite different. And if you look at them, it tells a different story. So the X-ray that reveals everything. The offer to close rate is certainly like an X-ray for your sales process. It's a unique number. Now it's just one number and it's important. And so in our example, when Sarah closes 25% of her offers, if that's not just a closing problem, it's proof she's presenting to unqualified prospects. While Mike closes 50%, that's elite level. I know it's a small sample size, but just go with it because it's part of the example. Being held back by overqualification. So without tracking this ratio separately, you never know that Sarah needs better discovery skills while Mike just needs more confidence to present. So you fix Sarah's qualification and her close rate jumps to 40%. Get Mike to present more often while keeping that 50%, he doubles his results. Same team, different levers. The 4 numbers elite closers track that you should too. So we just hit on these. We talked about show rates, offer to close rates, and revenue per call. So let's dive back into each of these specifically. Elite performers track 4 specific conversion ratios. Here they are. So number 1, show rate. How many scheduled appointments actually happen? The calculation is calls that happen divided by calls booked multiplied by 100. So now we're going to go over the poor, average, good, and elite. So again, take these with a grain of salt, but it gives you a very good idea of what's happening with your sales process when you track these numbers. So Poor, 0 to 60%. You probably have the wrong target market. You have too much time between booking in the call or a weak confirmation process or pre-call flow. Average, 60 to 75%. Decent leads, but inconsistent follow-up or booked unqualified prospects. Good, 75 to 85%. Strong qualification up front, good confirmation systems, proper urgency. This is where we want to be, 80%. That's what we talked about. Elite, 85%. Okay, again, take this with a grain of salt, because if everyone's showing up to the call, that's not always happening. But obviously, you could have perfect target market, immediate booking process, and bulletproof confirmation sequence. So, low show rates reveal critical issues in your booking process. Elite performers don't just book more calls, they book better calls with people who actually show up. All right, offer rate. So, right here, 50% offer rate or called offer rate. So here it is. How often do you present when someone shows up? The calculation, offers made divided by calls that happen, multiplied by 100. So we're gonna go over poor, average, good, and elite. So here it is, poor, 0 to 30%. Maybe you're too scared to present, overqualifying, or talking to completely wrong prospects. Average, 30 to 45%, inconsistent qualification, lack of confidence in your offer, or a weak discovery process. Good, 45 to 60%, solid qualification skills, confident presentation, and still being appropriately selective. Elite, 60 plus. So, perfect qualification process, strong authority positioning, and crystal clear on ideal client profile. So, again, remember, take this with a grain of salt, because if you're offering everybody, it's not great. But you understand what's going on. So here's an example. So key insight, high offer rate isn't always good. If you're at 80%, you might be presenting to everyone regardless of the fit. So we've coached salespeople who dropped their offer rate from 85 to 55, and guess what? No surprise, they doubled their closing rate. Why? Because they stopped pitching to tire kickers and started qualifying real buyers. You guessed it. So elite performers ask themselves, should I even pitch this person? They spend 70% of the call in discovery, kind of confirming at least 4 things. And again, we're not going to go into great detail, but this gives you a general idea. Genuine pain, real budget, decision-making authority, timeline for implementation. If any of these are missing, they can come back perhaps into your pipeline at a later date. You end the call, or perhaps they're not a good fit, and maybe they will be down the road. Ratio number 3, offer to close rate, not close rate, but offer to close rate. So this is your closing ability when you actually present. So the calculation is as follows, and like we said over here, offer to close rate 25% plus is good to very good. And so we're gonna go over this here. So the calculation is sales closed divided by offers made multiplied by 100. So we're gonna go over poor, average, good, elite. So poor, 0 to 15, weak closing skills, poor objection handling, presenting to unqualified prospects. Average, 15 to 25%, decent closing ability, but inconsistent follow-up or lack of urgency created. Good, 25 plus, strong closing skills, good objection handling, and strong qualification. Elite, 35 plus, master level closing, perfect qualification process, and presenting only to highly qualified buyers. So again, this ratio isolates your pure closing skill from everything else. So higher rates are almost always better. Whereas in other ratios, perhaps it's not, like an offer rate. And so if you're closing 40 to 50+% of your offers, that's elite. The warning sign is when someone has a high close rate, but low offer rates. So that suggests they're being too conservative about who to present to. All right, revenue per call. Now this is variable here on our tracker here. And we're gonna get in this in just a little bit, but this is gonna change once we change this, but this is just kind of a placeholder. So, and again, this is, take this with a grain of salt. If you have a low ticket item, if you're downselling people, obviously this is good. Hopefully you have a high ticket item as well. And so here we go, we're gonna get into this. So revenue per call. How much revenue you generate per call that happens? Simple. Calculation, total revenue divided by total calls that happen. Or you can also do your product revenue divided by your close rate. So these are 2 ways to get average revenue per call, and they will show up in here, and we're gonna go over that in just a sec. So poor, average, good, elite. Poor, 0 to 200. Low value offers, weak closing skills, or completely wrong target market. Average, 200 to 500. Decent offer value, but perhaps inconsistent closing or presenting to unqualified prospects. Good, strong offer positioning, good qualification, and solid closing skills. This is where we want to be. And elite, of course, if you have a high ticket item, these are high value offers, perfect qualification process, and presenting only or mostly to ideal clients. So this metric reveals if you're maximizing the value of each conversation. Elite performers focus on fewer, higher value calls rather than volume. What your numbers are secretly here's a cheat sheet. We're just gonna run through quickly because we basically want just to give you again another idea of what. So getting into each ratio number tells a story. Numbers tell a story. So show rate story, show rate diagnostics. Again, just kind of reviewing this. 60% show rate, perhaps your leads suck. 40% show rate, wrong target market. 95% show rate, you might be overqualifying. Offer rate diagnostics, 80%, you're presenting unqualified prospects. 20%, you're too scared to present or overqualifying. 60%, sweet spot, you're being selective and confident. Offer to close rate diagnostics, 10%, your closing skills need work. 50%, you are either an incredible closer or presenting the layups. 30%, you found the balance, presenting to qualified prospects and doing a good job. $1 million insight, getting into details. This is just an example. If your offer to close rate is 15%, but your offer rate is 80, the problem probably isn't your closing, may not be at least. It's certainly a problem is your qualification. So qualification, watch your offer rate drop to 50 and your close rate should skyrocket. It should at least double to 30. Again, if your show rate is 60%, don't blame your leads. Ask, are you creating urgency? Are you confirming properly? Are you targeting the right people? So how elite performers reverse engineer success? Most people have no idea how many conversions they actually need to hit their revenue goals. Watch what happens when I plug real numbers into this calculator. So here, I'm gonna share the screen. I'm gonna do an example at 80,000. So here's what we're gonna do. So here is the calculator again. We're gonna get into this now. The traceable media elite sales performance tracker. We have the weeks here. So going over this,